I'm alive, I'm breathing. I woke up today, so it's a good day.
Today, you're going to meet one of the guys major brands trust to pull the strings.
Pinder, the founder of OC3PL.
The engine behind brands that scale fast and deliver faster.
If you care about growth, precision, and domination in e-com logistics, this is the guy you want to hear from.
I played hockey with a guy that was really bold, and he just goes, Pinder, how much do you make at the bank? I'm like, I told him, and he goes, I'll pay you 50% more. I'll give you a car. I'll give you a company card. I want you to take my customers golfing and out to dinner. Can you do that? I'm like, yeah, I think so. That'd be really cool. Went on GoDaddy. They had like a website builder. I just filled in the template and published it. I'm like, okay, guys, I've satisfied one of your requirements. I've got a website. As soon as I published that website, I got 5 inquiries that week. And I'm like, whoa, people are coming to me. I don't have to pick up the phone and try to convince somebody that I can help them with their business. When I stepped away from the operation and really gave over that control to the director of operations is when the culture truly made the turn in the right direction. The operators of that building said, we're concerned about liability. You can't come into this space. We're locking the doors. Like, no, you're not. You have millions of dollars of my customers' inventory, and you're going to tell me I don't have access to it.
Hey, what's up, guys? Kofi here, and welcome back to the Coffee with Kofi podcast. Before we dive into today's conversation, I humbly ask you 2 favors. First, if you're getting value from these episodes, please hit that like button, subscribe, and smash that little notification bell as well. It might seem small, but for me, it's huge. It helps me bring even more amazing guests on the show for you, and it really shows we're building something special together here. Second thing, real quick, if you or anyone you know is running a $1 million plus service business, maybe a home services company or professional services firm or even a SaaS company, and you feel like your inbound marketing just isn't pulling that weight, I got something special for you. My team at Influence Digital, and we're a growth marketing company just in case you didn't know, we offer a free insights call where we dive into your real numbers, CRM, websites, ad accounts, if you have any, you name it. And we speak to your team directly so we can spot where you're bleeding leads, missing sales, or leaving revenue on the table. And these aren't theoretical audits either. Through these calls, we've already saved a SaaS company over $40,000 and helped them double their conversion rates, all with less than $2,000 added spend on that channel. Identified a cleaning company that was bleeding $2,000 plus every month because their revenue ops were stuck only chasing new customers without fixing retention, and caught a roofing company who almost wasted $5,000 trying to DIY their inbound without any proper tracking, while their old marketing agency they worked with was still pulling their live customer data. No fluff, no theory, no selling, unless you really want us to. Just straight facts from your real numbers and a clear map of what is costing you every single month the more you delay. So if you're by chance interested in that, just grab your free insights call by clicking that link below within the description box. And for a warning, spots fill up fast because these are real intentional working sessions, not sales calls. We can only do about 5 a month, to be honest with you. So make sure to lock in your time before you're stuck on a wait list, losing out on more profits each month. Sound fair? Cool. All right, that's it from me. Once again, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your support. You have no idea how much it means to me. And now, let's jump into the episode. Cheers! What is up, beautiful people? Welcome once again to the Coffee with Kofi podcast. And I have one of my favorite human beings right here with me, and somebody I really treasure as a good friend as well too, Pinder. So if you love your 2-day Prime like shipping, and you ever wonder who actually makes that happen behind the scenes, today you're going to meet one of the guys major brands trust to pull the strings. Cole right here. Cole, brother, how are you doing? How's everything going with you? Thank you so much for coming to the podcast.
Oh man, it's an honor. Thanks for having me. I'm good. I'm alive. I'm breathing. I woke up today, so it's a good day.
Awesome. I love to hear that. Brother. So I'm really wondering here because a lot of people just don't know, like, if they've ordered something online and it showed up to your doorstep within 48 hours or less, there's a good chance that you guys have something to do with it. So in that case, just like, no BS elevator pitch whatsoever. What is OC3PL and why do you think people should care?
I don't have a clue, man. No, 8 years ago, I had no idea either. But OC3PL is an e-commerce order fulfillment business. And effectively what that means is brands trust us to pick, pack, and ship their orders and then manage their inventory. So that's who we are and what we do.
Man, dude, how did you find yourself in that? Was logistics always the dream, or did you just stumble into it?
No, logistics was not the dream. All I knew about logistics before getting into this was my uncle drove a truck for a living, and he was a big influence in my life. So that was all I knew about logistics before I started my career back in the day. And there's some fun stories behind that. But
Yo, that is very interesting there because I didn't know that either. So then, how did you go from banking? Because you were in the field of banking first. How did you go from banking before this to boxes and packing boxes and fulfilling things?
I love the way you phrase that, from banking to boxes.
Yeah.
I've never thought about it like that. I went to school for finance, and I am 37 now. I probably look like I'm 30. When I was 22 graduating college, I looked like I was 15. And I think my interview at a bank after college, he was like, "Did you drive here or did somebody drop you off?"
Yo.
Um, so I thought I would really struggle to do like what I was passionate about, which was investments. I thought it would be really challenging for me to find clients that were in their 40s and 50s,
Mm,
and then have them trust me to invest for them. So I
mm,
went the banking route after college to use my finance degree. And that was really key for me in just getting my basics about how businesses are run.
mm,
Um, and then the journey into logistics and freight was simply because I played hockey with a guy that was really bold in the freight business, really slick, good hockey player. And he walked in the locker room one day and he just goes, "Pinder, how much do you make at the bank?" I'm like, that's kind of like a, personal thing to ask me. And I told him, and he goes, "I'll pay you 50% more. I'll give you a car. I'll give you a company card. I want you to take my customers golfing and out to dinner. Can you do that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think so. That'd be really cool." And so he told me about the trucking business. And, I knew my uncle was a truck driver for his whole life and kind of
mm.
heard the ups and downs of that. And I was interested, and I was 24 and probably not the best employee at the bank. I've got some fun stories there if you care to hear. And
Absolutely.
just transitioned into trucking first. And then it's a long story, so I don't know how much detail you want me to get
Oh,
into.
please give it all to me,
Okay.
please. This is
Okay, man.
interesting. Yeah.
Okay. So I was working for ABF Freight, and I worked on the docks, and I learned the business from the docks through their management trainee program,
Mm,
got into sales, had to relocate to South Bend, Indiana, learned the business, learned selling, kind of rose the corporate ranks. And then it was in President's Club, I think in my fourth year or so, which is top 10% producers. They sent me to California. I'd never been. And we're staying in Laguna Beach at this 5-star resort, being
mm,
treated amazingly. And I was the only single guy out of I think 90 people that made it. And they're like, let's go meet some California girls and see how they do it out here. I'd never been to California, and met my girlfriend, and we're still together about 9 years later. And
wow.
the long evolution of that is I moved to California with ABF Freight, was
Mm,
director of corporate accounts for them, called on
mm,
some high profile businesses. I basically covered all of California north of LA, and was pretty naive. And I saw how big businesses were using what's called TMS, transportation management software. I
mm,
saw how they were using software, and this is, mind you, 9-10 years ago,
mm,
and cloud-based like TMS wasn't really a thing in the LTL world, less than truckload world. And pardon me
mm,
for getting in the weeds, but I saw how they were using technology to manage contracts and manage their freight spend, which is
mm,
multiple millions of dollars. And my core clients, where I was really successful as a more local rep, nobody was using TMS. They were doing things kind of an old school way. And I thought naively, I can take this software
mm,
and I can roll it out to my customers and my network and help them manage their freight contracts and save a ton of money and get like modern digital paperwork management.
mm.
And then I got into it. I'm like, guys, I can save you all this money. I can go out and negotiate contracts. I know how to do this. And I quickly realized like that was naive, because everybody's like, "Nah, we like the way we do things. It's great. You can save us money, but no, we do it this way." So I ran into a lot of headwinds and I did that for a couple of years. And after about a year of doing it, I was actually able to pay myself. Like, it was a grind.
Wow.
And two of our customers were owned by the same investment company, and they used a 3PL, which is a third party logistics company, which is what OC3PL is. We don't sell the goods and we're not buying the goods. So we're not the true owner of the inventory, and we're not the recipient. We're the third party. We sit in between. We're the middleman that just houses the goods. So we have no investment in the inventory, but we help the goods go from the actual merchant to the end consumer. And these two freight customers of mine had the same 3PL, and their products were going to trade shows, events. They were time-sensitive events. And so we would run into these challenges where the 3PL wouldn't be ready. So we'd have to reschedule a truck and then expedite it. Now it's not a $1,500 shipment. It's $6,000 because I got to sick two people driving a truck, team drivers, to get it there on time to not be late for the festival. And that happened so many times that I'm like, guys, I will just warehouse this for you. That will never happen to you again. And my thought was, hey, I'll save them money, but I'll put up a moat around my brokerage because no other broker is going to be picking up goods from my building. I'm getting that shipment. So the investment group said, fine, you can do that. We'd love that. But you need warehouse management software and you need a website because we can't tell the board, oh, by the way, we're using Cole, our freight broker, to warehouse our goods. So I went online. I went to GoDaddy. I secured a domain name. I'm like, I am a 3PL in Orange County. What do you know? Orange County 3PL was available. I grabbed it. I thought to myself, I don't want to type this long email out or explain that to you when I want you to send me an email. So I grabbed oc3pl.com. So just dumb luck, went on GoDaddy. They had like a website builder. I just filled in the template and published it. I'm like, okay, guys, I've satisfied one of your requirements. I've got a website. And found a WMS, similar story, new up and coming platform. They had like 2 customers in the US. I would later come to find out. They trained me on WMS. I go, hey, I've ticked those boxes. Let's go. As soon as I published that website, I got, let's call it 5 inquiries that week. And I'm like, whoa, people are coming to me. I don't have to pick up the phone and try to convince somebody that I can help them with their business. They're calling me. So it's the 10-minute answer of how did I go from banking to boxes? Dumb luck. Right place, right time, right people in my world, and a little bit of being naive and dumb enough to say no, or dumb enough to say yes, not smart enough to say no. So
that is absolutely insane. I absolutely love that story. I didn't know that at all about you, brother. That is actually was nothing ever scary at all? Because it's like, as you're saying, dumb luck and everything of that sort, but you went through a lot of changes as well throughout your journey in that. Was there no scary point or no point you're like, I don't know about all of this, let me retract back, or was it just like, okay, I got it, let's keep on going. Okay, I got it, let's keep on going.
Nobody's ever asked me that question. It was scary the whole way, and it's still scary today.
Wow.
I'm from the Midwest. I don't believe in debt. So I bootstrap. That's all I ever know. So it was always scary, but the reality is that the girl that I met while in California, I wouldn't be here without her. To start. And that theme is true of my whole journey about where we are today is all a function of the people that are in my life in the various roles. And I'm sure we'll talk about them, like the key group of people that run the business with me today, key customers that have stuck with us through thick and thin. But without her, she was a little bit more established, and she just gave me the love and support to just go do my thing and asked nothing of me. So I was able to work 90 hours a week, do insane things that nobody should ever do to just deliver on what I said I was going to do for the customer. And she never had any expectations of me. She just supported me. This is your dream, do it. And so I wouldn't be here without my amazing girlfriend and amongst many others. But really, that was it. It was scary. To answer your question, it was scary. I had a warehouse that was my buddy's, and I said to him, "Hey man, I know I'm renting this folding table in your warehouse so that I can have a place to work, but can I fill this up with my brokerage clients' goods and split the revenue with you?" And he's like, "Sure. The warehouse is empty anyway." And like we jammed it up. I mean, that warehouse could probably hold 80 pallets, and we had hundreds in there. We had hundreds in the parking lot. It was absolute chaos. I mean, these pallets could have toppled. We did so many dumb things in the early day. I did so many dumb things early in the career, but I think that's kind of like the through line in my story is that I just trial and error and just took risks, and it's always been scary. And it got less scary as you get a team of people that you can lock arms with, and you know that you're going to be okay at the end of the day. So I hope that answers your question, but
Dude.
yeah, it's absolutely scary.
Yeah, man, you have no idea how much you've answered that question even better than I would have hoped, because the game of entrepreneurship, it's very scary, that uncertainty and stuff that just happen every single time. The trial and error, as you said, like wondering many times, many people just don't know, but there's sometimes at night, or even when you're even driving, or when you're there but you're not there, because you're thinking, whether I'll make it, is this worth it? Can I really deliver on what I said? All those type of things. And it's very interesting how you were able to do all of that all the way through. And the one thing that you said here, and I'm really curious about your answer to this too, is the fact that you had your girlfriend just support you all the way throughout. And Alex Hormozy said it best, is like entrepreneurship, especially when you start, is like you're your own cheerleader, just giving yourself that clap within the realm of it the entire time. Nobody else. It's a very solo journey. How impactful, because I know you say you couldn't do it without her, but how impactful is it for you to have somebody with you also giving that clap within that stadium for you to push through things?
It was everything. I think I always had it in the back of my mind. I want to start a business. I want to work for myself. I want to be my own boss. I'm pretty hard-headed. I'm pretty stubborn. I have a lot of ideas that I like to see, I want to test out and try. And so it was always hard for me being at somebody else's direction, because I was just, always wanting to just do and do and do. So I think she saw that in me, and she had some things in her life where it just gave her the perspective that she has, that is kind of like one day at a time. And so I guess to answer your question, I don't know if I would have done it, because, and we didn't have this communication before doing this. It was like, hey, pursue your dream. I think I believe in you. If you think you can do it, do it. It was more just her actions through, as I reflect on where we are today, that I really realize how much that support meant. While you're going through it, I'm coming home crying some days, because I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Wow. And her answer was always like, you always find a way to just figure it out. And that is still true today. But it was her, listening when I needed to just talk through things, her challenging when I would say something that gets twisted in my head where I think I'm right, but she's like, as an outsider, I'm not sure that makes a lot of sense. And just not telling me what to do, just listening. But then little things like, hey, I packed your lunch for you. It's in the fridge. So I'd be like, hey, I'm getting up at 5 tomorrow, because I got to go get this ready for a Good Morning America sale. She's like, well, I packed a lunch for you. Make sure you take it. Make sure you stop and eat. Just little things like that, where she's thinking about me. That's the kind of support that you look back and you're like, gosh, I'm really lucky, really blessed to have had her in my life, just being a support system. So now I try to spoil her every chance I can, because I'm eternally grateful for that.
Dude, that is really, really amazing. I'm really happy for you on that, brother. Truly, because it's not easy finding somebody like that in the littlest of ways, be able to support you, especially throughout this journey. So
and it like, kind of when we were talking through all this, one thing that just popped into my mind is like, it's all trial by fire and failure. Like, so I don't want anybody that views this to think that we just are this success story. Like, as an entrepreneur, just starting this with no idea what to do, it's all just because we've, failed failed and failed and failed and just had to figure out, okay, as a human being, nobody likes to fail. You don't like that feeling. Oh, how am I never going to do that again? You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
So
I'm actually curious, like how important would you say? Because right now, like OC3 Pro, you guys are an 8-figure business, and I'm sure the path there, if you just from the way you even told me about how things started out, was very strenuous. How important would you say failure was in you building such a good, reputable business as it is today? And what is the misconception that people have about failure in which you were able to weaponize to make sure you guys were as successful as you are today?
I think it's the number one. I mean, aside from being at the right place at the right time, being blessed, being fortunate, whatever you want to say, failure and just being open to learning from failure has been the key to success for us. And I think weaponizing it is a good way to putting it, because in our business, it's a trust-based business. We're a service business. The key for us is doing what we say we're going to do. But things happen, and every business, every person's going to make a mistake. They're going to fail the customer. We're going to have a road bump, and we're going to do something that adversely impacts a customer's business, a vendor, a team member. And we've just always tackled it head on. Hey, we made this mistake. Here's what we're doing about it. And here's how we're not going to do that in the future. And that's really informed and evolved our processes over the years. Some mistakes bigger than others, but I think that's what builds the loyalty with the customer. It's because if any customer has an expectation of you being perfect, it's probably going to lead to challenges down the line, because it's just not how the world works. So I think we embrace it in our culture, and we embrace it in the way we work with customers. And that's what builds loyalty and trust. And I don't want to go into some of the details of how many times we've adversely impacted our customers' business, but we always do what we need to do to make them whole. And it might be a short-term pain, but in the long run, that trust and that relationship is what has opened the door to the fact that we've never marketed before 2025. We've never marketed once. We've been in business now going on our 8th year, and all of the businesses come from, networking and just our relationships and referrals and organic growth. And I think that's a function of just the approach to the partners that we work with, and acknowledging and embracing failure. And then just learning from it and going, I don't ever want to take that haircut again or be stung like that again.
Yeah, dude, man, it's still really bonkers to me and amazing to me how you've never marketed it until 2025. Especially from the time that we spoke, I was like, there's no way. Like, there's absolutely no way for you to get to where you got to. Like, you are one of the few people that really showed me the importance of having trusted partners, great relationships, and a network, and also just being at the right place at the right time and really smart. It's just like the whole story of the OC3PL. So when people are searching Orange County 3PL, you just pop up. So it's very it's very genius, and it's all great.
Don't accuse me of that. I appreciate those kind words. I'm not a genius. I'm just like looking for the shortest, easiest way to do anything. Like, and you just, sometimes it's a good idea and other times it's not. Like, I've had plenty of domain name failures for sure. But yeah, you get, some things win, some things you lose. And I think if, you just take the opportunity, as long as you learn from something, like, or learn from a failure, like, it didn't really cost you anything. I mean, at the end of the day, like, I don't know. My hope is that our conversation and future conversations inspire somebody to go take the risk. And like, I'm just of the mindset that even if you go take a risk and you fail, as long as you learn something from it, you're so much better prepared for the next time you go do something, or you have a bigger network. And like, I don't know. I hope more people go out and take risks that are calculated. After hearing us connect,
Oh my gosh, dude, fire. I love that. I love that. Take that risk, learn from the mistakes. Because if it's a mistake, if it's a failure, if you learn something from it, it is well worth it. I absolutely love that. And I guess speaking on all of this, I'm curious, what is the absolute dumbest mistake that you made in the first 90 days when you started OC3PL? We've heard a little bit about it with the packing of hundreds of cartons and pallets and stuff like that. So I'm curious, what would you say was the dumbest mistake in the first 90 days when you're like, oh my gosh, what the heck am I doing?
Oh man, that is a great question. Let me think about that. So
Mm.
God, I have made seriously so many. I think early on it was probably more just being naive. So one of our customers, and it might not have been in the first 90 days, but it was definitely in the first year. One of the customers that came on board was like, hey, we're going to go on Good Morning America. I alluded to this earlier. We're going to go on Good Morning America. Can you handle that? I'm like, yeah, I don't see why not. Like, I understand your business and I understand how to print a shipping label, and I think I can do this. And they went on Good Morning America and had, I think it was 9,000 orders when their typical day was like 15.
Whoa.
And so, it was a great opportunity, but like it was dumb in the sense that like I didn't ask any questions about, hey, what do you guys think this is going to look like? I just said yes. I think I was so a people pleaser by nature, but I was so afraid of them saying, well, if you can't do it, we're going to find somebody that can. So I'm like, of course I can do that. And dude, what ended up happening is I called my network, my girlfriend, friends. Hey, can you come in this weekend? I need your help. I'll buy pizza. We got to ship a lot of orders.
Wow.
And can you bring your kids? And can you bring your friends? Dude, I had the Real Housewives of Orange County packing orders in my warehouse with their kids. Not actually, but I mean, that's what it's like, man. It's moms and their kids coming in and working and shipping orders on Good Morning America like clients. It was insane. Dude. And you couldn't even get around the warehouse. So like the product was a plastic cup with a thumb notch.
Wow.
And dude, I mean, I think the statute of limitations has passed for me to be able to say this. We were hawking the product. Like, I'm in the back of the warehouse. Hey, somebody ordered the champagne flute. Hey, Blake, are you on the other side? Here it comes. And I'm like throwing it over pallets and he's catching them. And it was just it was crazy. It was dumb for us to say yes without asking questions, but that's probably that's what comes to mind, man, those early days. And I look back on them like, we made no money. I was paying myself like $1,000 a month just to be able to help with groceries. But it was so much fun looking back on me. There was a lot of hard days, but it was so much fun. Dude. And I have so many good memories, made so many good connections from those fun early days.
Oh my gosh. That is amazing. I'm going to say that is probably my most favorite story so far with everybody I've spoken to, especially in that moment. Like,
dude, I got more. That's nothing. I got more.
Oh gosh, yeah, I can't wait. We got to dive into all of these for sure. What? So I'm thinking about it, brother. I'm like, with all of these things going on in that moment, of course, and again, it's coming with the uncertainty and everything. I am very curious. When did you first feel like OC3PL could become a big deal?
That's a really good question too. I still feel like even today with helping over 50 brands, we've got multiple facilities. We're having a lot of fun right now. I feel like we have so much room to go. I don't know if I've ever thought of us being a big deal, but I think when we got to So a little bit more information. I started the freight brokerage with a partner, a very close and dear friend, where we started the freight brokerage together. He knew the truckload side of the business. I knew the less than truckload side. Happy marriage, 2 young guys. He had a wife and 3 kids, 2 kids at the time, a third on the way. Very different risk profile than me, 7 years younger, no kids, not married, no house payment, kind of a vagabond. Different risk profiles. We got to the point where I'm like, hey, Chris, we need to go sign a lease on a warehouse because the demand is insane. We're making good money. I can see that years from now, we can actually pay ourselves a real salary. I mean, that's what it was. My first goal was, how do I replace my salary but own my time? I had no idea about building a business. I just wanted to live with my salary and then own my time. And it got to the point where Chris is like, hey, man, I have a wife and kids and a house payment. I'm not putting my name on a lease in California. You're the one kind of running this business unit. And it got really contentious. And I learned a lot of hard lessons during that tumultuous period of time. But I realized I believe in this. That was the point where I thought, this is a real business and I love doing this. I love working with the entrepreneurs that see us as adding value versus freight brokers. I'm just kind of a commodity. no disrespect to anybody that's in the freight brokerage business, but people view it as a commodity. It's a really hard place to inject value. And I felt like I had so much more to give. And that's how I knew, okay, I need to make Chris an offer to buy him out, because this is the direction I want to take this company. At that point in time, it was just Right Fit Logistics. And so I went and signed a lease. I put my name on it. I put everything all out there, was ready to risk it again. And it turned out I was right. And, this was pre-COVID. This is 2018, signed a lease. And I had to do like a write-up like I was in banking. Like that was my job. I was an analyst. I had to do a write-up on my own business to convince a landlord, like to lend this kid with no money, no assets, nothing, and convince him to let me have space in his building, which was wild.
Wow.
Anyhow, so when I bought Chris out, and with the no money I had to make him payments over 12 months. That was when I decided, like, this is a real business. And I have some really good mentors that are just friends of mine, but are successful in their own right in business that hey, let's play some ping pong and let me pick your brain about this thing. And those people really encouraged me and helped me learn about, like, okay, here's how businesses go from being, like a garage business into a real business. And here's what other big businesses are going to look for from you. And you should start thinking about this, and just share thoughts and experiences with me. And I just kind of absorbed it. And at a certain point, I'm like, okay, this is a real business. So I still think we're at our infancy, and we have so much more room to grow. And like, all these collective experiences working with these brands, like our team is just so knowledgeable about like how we can help brands just because of that collective experience. So I feel like we're at this precipice on which we're going to jump and get to the next level like soon. And with amazing partners like you helping with the marketing. And I just feel like it's not a real business yet. We're going to be there soon. I hope that feeling never goes away.
Yeah. Wow. That is very intriguing, because it's like, somebody, for me, as I look up to you and I look up to the type of business that you've also built up and everything. It's very interesting to me how you still don't see yourselves as a big deal, and you still see that you look at it as you're in your infancy, and there's so much you're just about to propel towards. And it's really, really interesting, where it's making me rethink the limelight in which, or the lenses in which I look at business, so it's very intriguing for me here, brother. I won't lie. And I'm wondering, so in that time that you now came to realize that, okay, this is a real business, you asked all these questions, you got all this help from your mentors and friends of that sort. What in that moment did you realize? What was that one key defining thing or moment that you realized what you were lacking? And you just full throttled onto that, which helped you just speed ramp everything?
Well, first, I want to say thanks for the kind words. And I have the same respect for you. Like, I think what you do is incredible, and all these tools, and how the consumer thinks. And like, those are things that I don't have any knowledge on. So I admire you for the skill set that you have. And that's why I love working with you. I love your personality. I love your energy, and I love what in your space and how you're helping me. So I think that applies to my answer to your question, is that I don't know what I don't know. Our team doesn't know what we don't know. So we need to go find people that know the things we don't know and have them help us and lock arms and go get to that next level. So I think like some of those conversations might be like, hey, Jeff is a close friend of mine, mentor. I trust him with my life. I can come to him with anything. And he just has so much experience that he can go, here's how I think about that. Here's what I've seen. And so little things like, ironing out a good contract that protects us and protects our customer, and thinks through worst case scenarios, and thinks through, well, what happens if one of your customers goes belly up and you're setting on this inventory? Have you thought about filing a UCC asset lien? I'm like, I should know what that is because I was in banking, but I don't know how to do that, And so like these prompts just get you thinking like, okay, so who do I need to engage with to help me understand what that is and then understand how it applies to my business.
Mm.
And a lot of times it doesn't apply, but at least now I know, okay, this is how another business owner might think about this.
Mm.
So I'm just trying to absorb that and then learn from people. And then, I'm a Dave Ramsey believer, and he always says to buy from people that are educators and have the heart of a teacher.
Mm.
And that's what I look for in the business. And that has always rang true, and helped us be successful. So I hope that answers the question.
Oh yeah,
because there's still so much that we don't know, Kofi. And I think one of the things that I've said from the get-go in our business is I was a sales rep, man. I used to have to go bang on doors and walk through the back of warehouses and just like look around. Oh yeah, I do freight, just try to go learn. And it always rubbed me the wrong way when a business owner would be like, there's no soliciting, soliciting here, or somebody would be like, you need to go through the front door.
Yeah.
And like, as a sales guy, I'm like, man, this sucks. Why do they always do that to me? This is BS. I can help them save money. And then sitting on the other side of the table now, we get people that knock on the door constantly that want to sell us something. And having been in their shoes, we want to embrace that. So we have on our website and on our door, like, we can't entertain every person that comes and knocks on the door. We would never get anything done. But we want people, if we advertise on our website and on the door, if you can help us be better and provide a better service to our customers, let us know how, and we would absolutely take a meeting from you. Don't come waste my time trying to, give me something I don't need. Tell me how you're going to help my customers, and I will absolutely bring you into our business and have you help us. So I don't know where I was going with that, but that's kind of how we view that's how I think about our business. If somebody can help me help my customers, I'm all in.
Dude, I love that. I love that you actually said that, because it makes me wonder, and even go back to the point with you being a sales rep, you being in sales, doing all this stuff with the door knocking and everything, because a lot of people hate it as well too, right? A lot of stuff just goes down in sales. There are so many people that have this stigma towards salespeople and all, like, that they're selling you snake oil and things. But I wonder, how important was sales for you in order for you to build OC3PL? How much contribution has sales made towards building OC3PL to what it is today?
Probably a lot of it. And when I think, I was a terrible sales rep. I had success on paper, but I was a terrible sales rep. I didn't listen to my pricing team. I was like really selfish as a sales guy. Like, no, I need this revenue. I need this revenue. I need this customer. And I didn't even care about what the business needed, because I wasn't incentivized to think about it. And like, I'm selfish by nature. I need to figure out, like, how do I close that account? So I was a terrible sales rep from the perspective of the company I worked for. Like, I didn't have access to certain information. All I cared about was closing deals, bringing on clients, and hitting my personal benchmarks. That doesn't translate when you have your own business. And let me walk back one step. So I was a terrible sales rep in the standpoint that my interests were not aligned with the company's interests, the company I worked for, but I was a fantastic sales rep in that I wanted to solve my customers' problems. I'm a people pleaser. I want to fix their problems. I want to take care of it. And I was horrible at passing it off to operations. I was like hands-on and controlling and making sure everything went well. So from the customer standpoint, I was an amazing sales rep because I did everything. Now I took a territory, and this is in 2014. Yeah, 2014 or maybe 13. From 400,000 in sales, and I grew it to over 4.5 million in less than 12 months. So from the company's perspective, like, revenue was great, but like, I was creating chaos. The pricing analysts hated me because I was demanding, but I was bringing all this business. So I'm like, you're going to do what I say. Anyway, so I was a terrible employee. Like, probably everybody hated me there. But, I met some amazing people that actually I poached from that company and now help me today, all these years later. And those are part of the people that are like a huge, ingredient in the success recipe that we have today. But when you own the business, so taking that experience and then applying sales to owning the business, I could no longer use price as getting a foot in the door. I had to be the pricing analyst, the finance manager, customer support, and sales all in one. And it forced me to actually recall the training that this company, ArcBest, gave me. They were phenomenal trainers, and they gave me all this great opportunities to learn and materials, and I kind of threw it to the wayside. And then as I got into owning the business, I really had to look back on those principles and figure out, okay, what does it really mean to be a good sales rep, or to bring in healthy business? So kind of was able to blend, I think, all of that experience into, okay, I know I need to help these brands. They're probably going to teach me a lot more than I know, but I can solve a problem for them and help them achieve their desired future state. And I have to do so profitably. And so I think, to answer your question, sales have been absolutely fundamentally required, but I don't think of us as selling at all. I think of us as helping a customer get to their future state. And I think that's what drives us. Our entire team is passionate about. We love helping businesses, and that's genuine. We want to help people's businesses. We're going to make mistakes along the way, but the spirit of our business is to help small businesses get to where they want to be. And that's what gets us all excited. And that there is an element of sales in there. Like, we have to convince the brand, you have a desired future state, and we can get you there. How do we do that together? And what does that look like? And so it's key. Sales are key. Revenue is key, but selling something is not. Like, in our business, as a service business, selling something, really, we're not selling it. We shouldn't be selling anything. We should be solving problems and creating a future state for the customer that they desire.
Dude, like, and I love that so much about you. And guys, the thing I love about Cole, to be honest, is Cole is not wrong. Like, that's one thing I really admire about OC3PL. They're actually really genuinely passionate about their customers and brands. Like, they're so knowledgeable. There's so much that I've learned about logistics and fulfillment before. I did not know anything before Cole. I did dropshipping for a little bit. So I had these little nuances here and there. But after meeting you, Cole, specifically, I came to really understand a lot of other things with fulfillment I just had no idea. And it's bonkers to me how you guys are really, really knowledgeable about lots of stuff, where you can actually even save a ton of money to many, many brands out there, and they just don't know it. So with saying that as well, too, it even brings me into my next question for you is, you guys just go beyond storing stuff in shipping boxes. Like, you guys are doing, like, some special drops for some artists and like some other stuff. Like, you guys are doing some really cool stuff. What is the magic behind how OC3PL runs?
I think the magic is the people that we have on our team. It's how we apply processes to chaos. And I think it's just how I think it's our culture. So that the magic is the people. And what we've become really adept at doing is, you take a thing like you had shared, you didn't know a lot about logistics. Well, either did we. And there's a good chance that some business is going to walk through our doors or reach out to us, and we will know nothing about their business and their industry or their unique niche. But what we know is, inventory has to be received. It has to be put away. It has to be picked. It has to be packed, has to be shipped. And so that same base logic needs to be applied around every unique business. And so our team truly understands how to take this chaos that is logistics and put processes around it that are repeatable and fail safe for the most part. And they know how to mold those and then have the conversation with the brand in a way that it's meaningful to the merchant. Because if I just say to you, well, we're going to use a rate shopping tool, and we're going to choose the cheapest carrier and make sure it's the most effective, it gets to your, you're going to be like, I'm so lost. What does that actually mean for a brand? Hey, brand, when your customer gets to checkout on your Shopify site, what do you want that experience to be for your consumer? Do you just want to pick a flat rate dollar amount and then have a generic statement that says free shipping, 5 to 8 days. Faster shipping, 3 to 6 days, $15. Or do you want to say, hey, fulfillment centers in Southern California, the customer is in Northern California. Let's show them a free option that's 2 to 3 days. Let's show them a next day option that's $6.76, because that's how much it's going to cost, not some nebulous $15 versus the guy that's in New York that's placing the order. Does he want to see free shipping, some nebulous 3 to 8 days? Or do you want to say, hey, it's going to be 5 to 6 days. And by the way, if you want to get that package in 2 to 3 days, here's how much it costs. So we start with that sort of conversation with the brand. What do you want that customer experience to be? Okay, so now we've got the order. It's this customer's first time buying. Do you want to add like a marketing card that we hand insert and sign for any client that's a first time customer? Because we can do that. We can put automation rules and business logic that automatically adds that insert to the order so that you can add a customer experience element that you're not offering today. How do you stand out from your competitors? How do you really gain loyalty from your end consumer? How do you maximize the long-term value of that customer you worked so hard to acquire? We've gone through all of this. And so we walk through that experience with the customer. Hey, what do you want the packaging to look like? What do you want your packing slip to look like? What do you like from the holistic experience? What do you want that to look like? Hey, your inventory manager, what reports do they need to see daily, whatever frequency? What do they need to see to help them be successful in their job? What metrics do you manage or measure in? And how can we help you manage those? Those are the conversations that we have with the brands we work with, just because that's what we've heard from all of our customers in the past. And they've tasked us with, hey, this is my problem, help me solve it. We've just done it so many times and our team really gets it and cares. The same people that have helped me grow this business from 20 boxes a day to doing well over 10,000 a day, apply that same experience and knowledge, and then help make it a repeatable process for our customers and deliver on their desired future state. That's the magic. Learning from our customers, having amazing people that love what they do and are passionate about helping our brand succeed.
Oh gosh, I love that. You are right. The magic there is really the sauce for you guys. And I think the one thing that really still blows my brain is the aspect of transparency with your clients as well too, especially about each box that is being sent out, which is bonkers. Like at scale, like that's a hard thing to do, and you're able to like get quick updates about a box if there's any complications whatsoever, and really just take a quick decision and get things going. I don't know of many or any that does that like the way you guys do, which really brings me also into my next question here. Let's talk tech, right? Because in today's day and age, tech is everything, right? I mean, look at the AI boom and all these type of stuff going on. What tools or systems would you say gave you the biggest edge in scaling? It may not be now, but to your first million, to your 10 million and beyond. What tools did you guys use that gave you that big edge in scaling?
So I do believe that tech is key to everything, but it's how it gets deployed and leveraged by the team. So I think it actually boils back down to the operators. And then we're just open to embracing new technology. We always are willing to hear, hey, what's going on in the industry? How are these new tools that are emerging going to help us help our customers? And some of them are proprietary that we've built internally. Some are just linking systems together to help make a more seamless process. But there's so much more we can be doing and we hope to be doing. But I'm pretty conservative. So, like I shared, we don't use debt to support the business. So I'm pretty calculated. So, but there's a lot that technology has opened the doors for a lot of things. And I feel like we do a good job embracing it and staying in front of big changes, but we typically aren't the ones that do it first. We kind of wait and see how it's impacting other guys that operate businesses like this that I've learned from. And then when we see that it's really sticking, then we kind of get in because we're still relatively small and nimble. But one thing you brought up that I wanted to just kind of add a little bit to is transparency.
Yeah.
We've all told a white lie and we're like, now I got to let this thing kind of like, how am I going to see this thing through? We did that early on in the business. We were not at all as transparent as we are today.
Mm.
And it just, at the end of the day, like what we were trying to do was shelter our brands from this ugly stuff that happens behind the scenes.
Mm.
And just by trial and error, we ultimately learned like we did wrong by some customers by doing that. And so like I think we've just, the path of least resistance for us is, let's just put everything out on the table. And if something's ugly, let's just address it head on, because it's going to get resolved faster. And it just, again, lends to that trust that we have with our brands. Like, so the transparency, the technology enables the transparency. Like we're leveraging the tools native to the software programs that we're using, and we're just putting it all out there. Now we will transform some of that data to put it into a dashboard that makes it easy for the client to take action. But that's really where the transparencies come from. Just because, again, for us, we're just trying to make it easier.
Yeah.
But I think that a differentiator with how we utilize the technology is, if you think about order fulfillment for a brand, they're out there focusing on product and securing the sale. And then they don't want to think about anything after the fact. Now, sometimes they oversell. Sometimes their vendor makes a mistake and delivers us the wrong quantities. Things happen that cause orders to not be shippable. And we have commitments that we make to the customers about from the time the order is received to when it'll ship. For most clients, it's say noon by Pacific Standard Time daily. If you get that order at 11:59, we're going to ship it that day. But what will happen and why we're different is, for some reason or another, a order, 5 orders, 50 orders, 100 orders might not be able to ship that day. We've built tools that will extract that data and populate a dashboard for the customer to see which orders are not shipping and why. And it prompts disposition from the brand. Hey, your dashboard's going to be populated at 1:30 in the afternoon. If you go in there and make the changes that allow us to release that order, we'll get that order out the door. We're proactive in making sure that the customer's orders are shipping, because not because we are just this altruistic business, because we know if we don't do that, your end customer is going to hit up your customer support box with a Wizmo ticket. Where's my order ticket? That's going to cost the brand money. They're going to send us an email. We're going to go find out, hey, why did this order not ship? It's going to cost us money. We should just create a dashboard that gets in front of this and saves both customers money and delivers a better customer experience. So it's like, that's sort of how the business has evolved for the last almost 8-9 years.
Dude, I love that. I love that so much, and that's the thing too. Is again, it's your transparency, even in the aspect of you being transparent about, hey, it wasn't like this before. We told a white lie, but this is what happened, and as a result, this is what came through. That's what I genuinely love about you, and I also know your partners and your clients also love about you right now. It's you guys' openness to transparency, because at the end of the day, it's just going to cost not only distrust but money. And as you said, the revenue game is the one that everybody's trying to play, right? So it's really intriguing for me, and it makes me wonder now in the space of business as well too, specifically for you, Cole. Most founders hit a plateau, so like when they're running business. So when OC3PL hit $1 million, like what changed internally for it to go from 1 million to 10 million, and then or even 5 million, 1 to 5 to 10? What changed internally for you to go through all of those smoothly without hitting the plateau that many founders normally hit?
Well, it harkens back to people and putting the right people on your team and putting them in the right place. And that was really hard for me. For the first, let's just call it 3 years of the business, we're growing, we're bringing on new clients, revenue's improving. I'm able to go from $1,000 a month to $3,000 a month, right? Founders paid last. And it didn't have, it's not like I had a great strategic plan. It's not like I had really any plan. For the first 3 to 4 years, it was like, I can't keep doing this. Let me bring somebody in. And I was super hands-on and controlling, because I thought this baby will fail if I don't do something. And over time, that becomes unsustainable. Burnout happens. And frustration from your customers and your team members, the people you value the most, start to get frustrated with you. And I'm fortunate enough, and our culture is not always been this way, but over time, I have the right people. I have amazing people that support me in this business.
Mm.
And at a certain point as the founder, my skill set's limited, but
Mm.
you never want to think that it's limited. Like,
Mm.
oh yeah, I can take this thing to this level with good people. But it took for a couple key people that love me and trust me that we have an open dialogue to be able to come into my office and say, hey, Colt, you're actually getting in the way. You're making our lives worse.
Wow.
You're making this harder for us, and we need you to trust us and stop.
Wow.
And so I'm very fortunate that I had those people kind of help me open my eyes to say, like, okay, I really got to stay in my lane, because when I start overstepping, I've already employed these people to solve the problem.
Mm.
And I tell them that I trust them to solve the problem. But then here I come, not having all the information. And I go, why aren't we doing this? What do I do? Why is the customer pissed about this? And it's like, hey, man, we've already got a process. We already know we've solved this. By you jumping in this email and copying people, you're actually making us feel worse.
Wow.
Like you don't trust us. Like, you're telling us you trust us, but your actions don't suggest that you trust us.
Wow.
And I really had, like, it was hard. It's hard to hear that. Like, you think,
Mm.
hey, I've gotten this business to this size. Like, it's humbling, but it's so true. And I'm so grateful that they had the confidence and the trust in me that I wasn't going to lash out, even though my first gut reaction was to, like, be defensive. But I'm just really lucky that the right people are on the team. And believe in the mission and kind of helped me learn to grow as a leader and figure out what my role in the company really is and getting it to the next level. And so, to answer your question, long-winded, that's the through line, is that everything I do is long-winded.
No, I love
It's having the right people, the right culture, and it's not going to happen right away. It just kind of evolves over time, because, again, you're going to go to the path of least resistance. The right people have been key and instrumental in being able to lay that foundation to grow the business. And then for me as a leader to evolve, I was the worst sales manager for ABF. The worst. I'm still not a very good manager. It's not a skill set that I've developed. I was the worst district sales manager. I was the worst.
Yo, no way. I can't believe that. I actually can't believe that, because, bro, you're such a great leader. So, like, I'm surprised to hear that you were the worst manager altogether. Well, what makes you say that specifically?
Well, dude, I'm emotional, and I make emotional decisions, or I think I still am impatient, but, like, well, I would have, like, why aren't you doing the way I would have done it? I wasn't a coach. I wasn't helpful. I'm not going to take 100% of the blame. In that company, sales reps were compensated and capped, which I don't believe in a cap on salespeople. I think I think that gets in the way of achieving mutual goals and keeping people happy. Right.
Yeah.
So we were capped, and, I'm like, hey, I'm a sales guy and I'm crushing it. I got to get paid more, or I'm going to go somewhere else. Selfish again. But the only way ABF had the way to pay you more was to elevate you into management roles. So they put me into a sales management role when I was like 26, and I'm managing guys that have 40 years of experience and have been successful. And, I was just naive and, just not real. I didn't have the management skill set. I didn't know how to listen and communicate and set expectations and then be a helpful hand. Like, I would just, like, try to go do the job for them. I should have never been put into that position. I'm grateful for the opportunities and the resume building, but I was a terrible manager. So I was so bad. Like, that's a skill set that's really unique from selling. And it's like, it takes a certain disposition, and I didn't have it.
Dude, it is again, your honesty is so refreshing and very intriguing for me. I'm like, goodness me, I don't think I know a lot of people that would actually say that, like, I was terrible, dude. Like, I'm terrible in this. This is not me. This is not my role whatsoever. And also, even having such a culture where people are able to come to tell you that, like, hey, you're essentially, you're messing us up in this way, in the road that you put us in. You need to stop. It's making us feel some type of way. And you actually take that in, listen, reflect, introspect, and then take action on it. Speaks volumes about your character, brother. It really does, because there are too many people that'll be like, oh, well, F you then, out of the door type of thing, So it's really awesome in what you've done there. So then, And it's very intriguing as well too. You keep on coming back to people and culture, and you're really shining a light on something that I've always been thinking about as well too. That I think I've always thought that the difference between really successful businesses, like 7-figure, 8-figure, 9-figure businesses, has been people versus anything else, people and culture first. So I wonder, what is the single smartest hire you made specifically that changed the game for OC3PL?
I it would be unfair to pick out a single person because so many of the key people that are in the organization today have had their unique influences. So I can't give you one,
Okay.
but I can say that we've had a lot of bad hires and bad culture fits. And I think truly when I stepped away from the operation, and really gave over that control to the director of operations is when the culture truly made the turn in the right direction. Because while I think I create an environment for fun and good energy and high expectations, I'm not good with management. I'm good with processes, but I'm not good with management. And so I think when I passed over all of those responsibilities to the person that runs the operations, and they can, take the process and set clear expectations, is when the culture really changed. Because like we have great people on the team and they're here to do a good job and they're here to smile and have fun while they're working, but there's no expectations. There's chaos. There's no expectations both ways. It benefits the business and the team members. So I think once I got out of the way fully, that allowed the culture to blossom. And I have had people near and dear to my heart that were wonderful people that were in the wrong roles. And our director of operations corrected that and put the right people in the right roles. And over time, letting the right people in the right roles fill up their teams with the right people, that's created the culture. So again, it just harkens back to the team. The team and being empowered to do what they need to do, put the right people in place to let the culture thrive. And just by making mistakes of people quitting and leaving us a negative review on Google or sending us feedback that's hard to hear, just telling us what sucked. I'm like, okay, look, we might not agree with it, but we got to make sure that this doesn't happen anymore. So it's just, again, learning by failure and just being open to making changes.
That is dope. That is dope, brother. That is really dope. I love that. I'm curious, what's one of your favorite brand partnerships that you currently have right now, and how did that come to be?
Man, we've worked with some really cool brands, and we support some great companies today. Favorite.
Because I know you have a lot of favorites. I'm just wondering just one of them and how it came to be.
Well, I love working with people that I care about. So I share one of my mentors. I love all of our brands, and even some I'm still getting to know because we've got business development folks and account management teams that are like, I'm not getting to be a part of all those relationships anymore. But being able to turn around and help a friend, somebody that's near and dear, going back to my starts, like he gave me my first contract into my freight brokerage that gave me the go ahead to jump off the cliff and know that I had a little bit of work. He invested into another company, a robotics company. And he said, hey, we're going to make this investment and I would really like some help on the logistics end. And I got to take that over, and our company got to take that over and help them reduce costs so much and streamline their logistics and their warehousing and their fulfillment. And we created millions of dollars of value to be able to give that back to a friend, so that when they went to go sell the company, it added a ton of value because we took an expense from like 8% of their P&L and brought it down to like 3%. That falls to the bottom line, and their business sells on a multiplier of the bottom line. So like every dollar we cut out of there added like 6 times to the sales value of the business. That was that's probably been some of the most rewarding, because I got to give back to somebody that gave so much to me.
Wow. Wow. Dude, that is impactful. That really is impactful. And that must have made you feel, and you said to yourself, it must have made you feel overjoyed. And he must have also felt like really glad that he made that investment into you as well, too.
It was natural. I don't think we ever have thought about like, man, I'm so glad that that happened. But I think it's
Mm,
like when somebody does for you,
mm,
at least for me, I feel like I have a responsibility to reciprocate. Like,
mm,
it's great for us, right? We've got this new client, we've got new revenue, we get to create new jobs, we get more stability in the business, and we get to give back to them in that, we're reducing the cost. But I think like when somebody trusts you with
mm.
their baby, and then you get to go, hey, the end result is we've got a healthy, productive member of society. That baby is now a teacher. Like that's like the most fulfilling piece. So like,
Yeah.
and for somebody that's so near and dear to my heart, Jeff, like to be able to return that favor, because he kicked me off the ledge. Like we wouldn't
Wow.
have any of this like opportunity to meet so many cool people, do so many cool things like without him. And so to be able to
Wow.
give that back is like,
Wow.
brings it back full circle.
Yeah. I love that. I love that, dude. I love that so much. About the drops that you guys do, because we haven't
Hmm.
talked about that so much, and it's very intriguing for me. This is one of the things that I find that you guys do differently as well too from other brands. Can you talk about the drops that you guys do, what it even means, what it entails, and what is one of your favorite drops that you guys have done that you saw so much success and buzz with?
Yeah. So we do a lot of drops, and we define drops as like working with a musician. We've done work for Claro, Omar Apollo, some other internationally touring acts.
Mhm.
Is we work with their merch managers and we do their collection. So let's say they're releasing a new album and they have hoodies, t-shirts, wristbands. It's all sorts of merch that goes with the release. Getting
Mhm.
to be a part of those is really fun. So we'll
Mhm.
work with the folks in charge of merchandising to receive hundreds of thousands of units and then turn around, could be 30, 40,000 orders in a couple days period of time. Just to be a part of that stuff that's in pop culture is really fun. Like we're working on a merchandising deal now. We're kind of taking it to the next level. Like we're mostly in apparel, health, beauty, non-hazardous, non-perishable, general consumer goods.
Mhm.
And we're working now. We've got a reputation for being able to do apparel and big drops. Well, we know
Mhm.
all the screen printers in Southern California. We've developed really good relationships with them. They know what our
Mhm.
processes are, and we know that we help make them look better. And so now we're taking it a step further and working with some influencers that have like a couple million followers, or even down to like 30,000 followers,
Mhm.
monetize their following by releasing merch lines. And we've seen it taper off a little bit. It was really hot when like Danny Duncan was doing this, and some
Mhm.
of these early YouTube influencers, but
Mhm.
there's still a lot of followers that are like loyal to these pages,
Mhm.
and we are helping those brands launch merch lines. We've got one right now where we'll do everything from establishing their Shopify site, doing their product display pages, doing the photographs for them using AI tools,
Mhm.
build the product listings, and then we're managing the sourcing process too. So we've got a graphic designer, or
Mhm.
he manages the production partners that will outsource to graphic designers or take the
Mhm.
logo files from these brands, their
Mhm.
collateral, and put it onto merchandise. And not like we're doing a print full, like print on demand. We'll actually source it with good partners,
Mhm.
good quality products, help them think about the brand and the that they want to be and the way they want their merchandise to feel
Mhm.
and look, and the experience for their customer. And then we're sourcing it for them, inventorying it, and then shipping the orders out for them. So they're
Mhm.
like, hey, our core is running this page and creating content and curating a following, and then we help them monetize it by delivering good quality products to their followers.
Dude,
So
that
we're
is
looking to do more and more of that, because it's like, and just leveraging everything we know and our connections to just add value and continue to grow on our team. And so
I
it's
love
been
that.
fun.
Yeah, it really does sound fun, and I love that, especially being a part of like pop culture and those aspects as well too.
Hmm.
And it's this also actually leads me into my next question too, because I can imagine this type of stuff, especially in this burst, kind of feel like that moment in which you talked about earlier about the Good Morning America, and then you
Hmm.
just like called everybody to come through and they helped and all of that. Now I'm wondering, would you say, let's say for example, something like Black Friday, where it was like something at scale and everything. I'm wondering, how does that week actually look like for a company like yours? Do you have like all hands on deck where you're also like just go, go, go time? Is it as crazy as, those 9,000 orders from the Good Morning America calling everybody? And just wondering if you could break that down for me because I'm actually curious.
Yeah. And I'll give you a little backstory to kind
Mhm.
of juxtapose the past versus the present and me getting out of the way, how much it's gotten better. And real quick before I jump into that, like the Good Morning America was a great test on the business. And just recently we had a customer on Shark Tank. And so to just to think about like how we handled that television promotion all the way to through like a Shark Tank promotion, like
Ooh.
I can't even imagine if we had had that opportunity back then. But anyway, we can talk about that later if it makes sense. But
Oh, yeah.
Black Friday, I would say before when I was way too hands-on was chaos and we didn't plan appropriately. And I'd say about 3 years ago or so when operations was fully transitioned to key personnel, it's now all just about communication. Hey, here's what we did last year. Here's what we saw your sales. Here's the percentage over averages. We just arm and have conversations months ahead of time,
Mm.
communicating, hey, this is what we saw. What are you planning for this year? What collections should we be having ready? What do you expect to put, how much advertising spend do you expect relative to last year? So we can kind of project what do we need to have on standby for staffing? Because months in advance, we need to bring that staff on and train them and position inventory appropriately. So it all just starts with communication
Mm.
and constantly adjusting leading up to that period of time. And we're adding more hours. We're publishing a schedule with our staff, having blackout vacation days, just and all the while making sure we're having fun. We have like really cool giveaways that we do during that period of time, fun incentive programs to keep the team engaged because they all know how important this is for the merchants that we service. So we can see anywhere from like a 300 to a 400% increase in daily average order volume or weekly average order volume. So it's just a lot of planning and preparing and then setting realistic timelines with customers. Because we have some that might only do a couple hundred orders a month, but their product is like gift related. So they might go up to 15 to 20,000 orders over a weekend.
Jesus.
So we have to have it, plan it in advance, get everything ready, and then commit a realistic timeline to them. Like, hey, like we don't have the ability to ship all this out on Monday. We'll get this out on Monday and Tuesday, maybe even to Wednesday. So let's set that expectation for your consumer up front on the website when they check out. Like, let's give them a realistic expectation. Now, of course, if that brand is saying, hey, no, it absolutely has to ship that day, fine. Well, here's what it's going to look like from a cost perspective. We're going to have to bring in temps. We're going to have to pay this much. It's going to cost more. We can do it, but here's your real options. So it's just all about communication and then and proper inventory planning and labor planning.
Dude, I love that. I love that so much, and it's very interesting. It's really interesting for me how when I ask you the questions and you give profound answers, but then it starts with just like basic things in which the profoundness comes from. So it's like team and culture, communication. It's like stuff like that, and then that's when the profound comes from it. So it makes me really think: do people just really overthink the space of having good business, good service delivery, good fulfillment, just like, running a healthy, good business? In your opinion, do you think people overthink that? Is it really just the simplicity of that one core thing in which the magic comes from?
I think analysis paralysis is real.
Mm,
And I think just having the disposition of, I don't know, but I'll figure it out,
mm,
it should be enough. If you have a plan, I
mm,
definitely think people overthink it, but I say that with caution. Like I wouldn't advise that somebody go out tomorrow and start a window washing business if they've never washed windows. Like you have to have some sort of experience or some sort of a plan. But yeah, I didn't know how to incorporate the business. Oh, you
mm,
just go on LegalZoom and make an LLC. Well, that was a lot easier than I thought. Oh, but now I have to pay the California Franchise Tax Board $800 a year just to exist. I didn't know that. You just figure it out. Like, I don't know what a CPA is going to do for me. Like, I know I need one, but when?
mm,
I don't know how to
mm,
keep my books. but you just figure it out and you ask people, hey, what are you doing to solve this? Like, hey, here's a pain I'm experiencing. And you probably are going to overpay somebody for the first couple of years because you don't know any different. But like at the end of the day, you just get sharper and sharper over time. So yeah, I think people overthink it, but but that's okay. At least they're thinking about it, not just going and doing, right?
Right, right. I love that, brother. I love that. Now, I'm really curious. You have to tell us about your clients on Shark Tank, how that went, because now we know about the situation with Good Morning America. How did this one go? I don't know if you're able to even share who the client was. If you can't, no worries. I'm just curious as to how that went, that entire experience for OC3PL currently today.
Yeah, I have no problem sharing that experience. Of the client is called Firefly Recovery, and it's like it's a device that helps athletes or the general public travel better, right? So this time around, we knew the questions to ask. We advised them on, hey, we really need to pre-build these kits. I mean, it's a multiple piece item. Like, hey, let's pre-build these. Like, oh, you think only 10,000 units? I think we need to do 20,000 units. Like, let's way get ahead of this because we want to make sure that they're delivering on the promises that they're making. So we just had it was more just like, okay, we know what this could look like. So let's plan and build ahead. So it's just again, back to the communication. So we brought in staff to really build it in ahead of time because we know, like, if all this comes in over the weekend and we don't work ahead, like we're going to be in trouble. And they only have one shot to be on TV and win that customer. So just, again, goes back to the communication. But now we have a staff of well over 100 team members. Makes it a lot easier than when it's two people in a warehouse slinging 6,000 orders. So it went off without a hitch. Like, they had I think it was about 30 times spike in order volume.
Wow.
And all those orders were shipped before, airs on a Friday night. By Monday at noon, every single one of those orders that came in before noon shipped.
Wow. See, you just gotta love stuff like that, brother. Like, you really do. You just gotta love stuff like that. The way you're ahead of it and everything as well too. I find you as an operational genius. That's why I do.
It's not me. It's not me. No,
it's you, right?
It's the team. It's the processes. It's the experience.
And I love that. I love that because it really bakes everything into what OC3PL is today. Because I won't lie, but like, I've talked to you, I've talked to Maddie, I've talked to Yuli, of course. The level of genius that all of you are on, and I've seen that trend. The level of genius that all of you are on is something in its own world. Like, you guys are generally like really specialists in what you do, right? So it makes me wonder, like, supply chain crisis, COVID, because you spoke about COVID previously as well too, shipping delays. How did you keep your head above water throughout all these things?
I've got a really interesting anecdote about COVID and how it impacted the business that I think was probably the most trying time we've ever had.
Wow.
I think keeping the head above water was, we didn't have an alternative. We made a commitment to the customer. They are making decisions based on our commitment. They are making a commitment to the end consumer. We can't not deliver, period. And so early on in the business, so if you think about my business, our business is we've got to have a amount of space, right? To be able to support a client, I have to have a warehouse. There was this business model, and I won't say their name, where they would go out and grab massive warehouses, subdivide it with like sheet metal, and then you could expand, add 1,000 square feet at a time, whatever you needed. So I'm like, oh, well, I don't have to sign a big lease. I can add space, free reign to go sell. I can bring in tons of customers, and I'll just variably add space.
Interesting.
Well, little did I know that's not fire authority compliant. There's huge safety risks in doing this. And I had zero control over the business. And I learned that the hard way when COVID happened and Gavin Newsom said, hey, you can't even come into this building. Like, you got to stay at home. I'm like, well, no, I can't. I have to ship these orders for these customers. Absolutely not. Well, we had a staff at that time, about 20, 25 people in this shared warehouse. And we're all coming into work, albeit safely. We're using sanitizer. Everybody's wearing masks. We're keeping social distance, all that crap. The operators of that building said, we're locking all the doors. We're concerned about liability. You can't come into this space. We're locking the doors. Like, No, you're not. You have millions of dollars of my customers' inventory, and you're going to tell me I don't have access to it. And so we defied them. No, we're going to have somebody in this building at all times so that if they try to lock us out, you're going to have to call the police on us. Like, we've got obligations to meet. So they terminated our leases with less than 30 days notice.
Wow.
To get a building and outfit it with racking, computer systems, ample electricity, ample internet was insane. And I had to dig through every Rolodex, every person I knew to find, hey, does your uncle have an empty building? I need space. I've got commitments to make. I mean, I spent weeks on the phone, and then I got COVID and I couldn't physically be there. I'm crying every night trying to figure out a solution for this. This is early days. Dude, we scrambled, and I finally found a guy that was a friend of a friend who had a couple thousand square feet of warehouse space. He was trying to get out, so we wanted to sublease it to me. We paid a ridiculous amount of money. I went and rented a Penske truck. I'm driving this Penske, moving, I don't know if it was 20 pallets at a time, all over the weekend, grind it like literally 24 hours a day. People are taking transitions with me to drive this truck. And somehow we never shut down. And it was the biggest hurdle. I spent so much money. I put everything that we had ever made back into that move.
Wow.
And it was like the greatest learning experience I've ever had. The biggest challenge I've ever had. It was insane. I wouldn't wish that upon anybody ever again. I don't know if I could do that again today.
Wow. That is, my God, bro. I don't even know where to begin, because that sounds painful.
Yeah, it was absolutely insane. It was so hard. I mean, I'm calling like almost everybody in my phone, like, hey, do you know anybody that has space? Like, I have to figure this out fast. Like, it was crazy.
Dude, what would you say? Because you spoke about learning experience. What would you say is the main lesson that you learned from that hurdle?
Well, I don't think I was taking a shortcut by leveraging this space to just be able to add, extend the wall out another 1,000 square feet. What I learned was you have to have control. I can't deliver on the promises I'm committing if I don't have a certain degree of certainty and control in the business. And another little anecdote about that, and this is still prevalent in what I see it out there today. There's these bad actors out there that are like, without saying too much, they're creating fake postal accounts with stolen credit cards and then selling those rates back to merchants, saying, hey, you can ship priority mail anywhere in the country for $5. They bill the merchant, and they're using fake credit cards to pay the actual cost, $13, $18, $30. That credit card gets closed down. They go flip it, open up another entity, and start using stolen credit cards, and they're collecting this $5. That's going to turn around and bite those merchants when the post office goes back and starts going back to collect.
Yeah.
Something similar happened early on in our business where somebody was reselling a FedEx account. You can't resell a FedEx account. FedEx does not allow that. But there's these resellers that emerge. Oh yeah, we're a tech platform, so we're going to give you access to this. And I was using somebody's FedEx account because the rates were so good. So good. And I could go, hey, customer, I can deliver you this insane amount of savings. Well, guess what happened one day? FedEx caught wind that account was being resold. Boom, it's cut off immediately. Now I've made commitments to the customers on rates that I don't have access to anymore. So I got to go back and leverage all my spend and pray that I can negotiate a deep enough discount to where I'm not actually subsidizing a shipment that's leaving my door. And thankfully, we had a great partner in FedEx early on. I mean, this is early on when we're doing like maybe 200 shipments a day. So it's not like it was that crazy, but we had a phenomenal vendor to us at FedEx, and he's still our rep today. No matter what size we grow, we are always like, no, we need to keep John. He believed in us. He put his foot forward, really understood our business, made a commitment to us, allowed us to get by that period of time and continue to grow. And he just believed in us and really saved us out of that situation. But like, those are the failures we made early on. They're like, okay, we got to have control. Never again can we put ourselves in this situation.
Dude, you have a lot of intriguing stories, like a lot of them. And I'm really enjoying them because it's like, I can see how every single moment of these stories taught you something different every single time, in which there was a massive growing point. It makes me wonder, from everything that you've learned and everything you've been through, what's a logistics myth that you think needs to die?
That's a great question. What's a logistics myth that needs it? Everybody needs something in 2 days. I think that was like, look, we got really comfortable. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe others in this space are like, it absolutely needs to happen in 2 days. I think for brands that are, emerging or are looking to create like true brand loyalty and dedicated customer base,
Mm,
I think it's more about setting realistic expectations that you can deliver on for the
mm,
customer
mm,
and curate and lean into that so much more. And don't be so worried about how do I get the product in my customer's hands in 2 days.
mm.
I think like that's I just think that's not necessarily the best way to go about stuff. But hey, I could be way wrong, and maybe the folks on my team are like, "Shut up, Cole." But I also think like a myth around logistics is that it has to be hard, it has to be complicated, it has to be a
Mm,
necessary evil. If you have a good
mm,
fulfillment partner, like,
mm,
you should just be able to focus on developing products and securing sales and taking care of your customers, and your partner will take care of everything else.
I love that. I love that, brother. That is very intriguing. And I love how controversial it is as well, too. So definitely is intriguing as well, too, in everything you said there. I'm curious, brother. If you lost everything tomorrow, team, clients, warehouses, God forbid, God forbid.
Hmm.
But if you lost everything tomorrow, but you had your current brain, how would you rebuild?
I would probably, I'm going to give you two answers. Okay.
Mm, mm,
I think I would, I would restart the company,
mm,
and I would do everything we've done with all we've learned. We'd be up and running in 90 days, and we'd be in, like, we'd be doing great. I feel really confident that we could take all of this knowledge and roll it out and be right back where we're at. However, having said that, I
mm,
think what I would do is, if I lost everything and I'm like, gosh, how do I get back here?
mm,
I would probably go a slightly different route, and I would help other businesses establish a niche fulfillment business, because I know
mm,
how to stand up a warehouse really quickly. I know all the vendors, I know all the technology platforms, I know how to load in like location based data. Basically everything that is needed to run a 3PL,
mm,
I could shortcut that runway to somebody, and like including billing systems to deliver an excellent customer experience, the experience we deliver for our customers. I
mm,
would show other people how to do that, and
mm,
I would build a consulting firm, because the hardest part of having a business with over 100 team members is having over 100 team members and the challenges that come with employing people in California, complying with everything that's required to be complied with, and then having a huge high overhead every month. Every
mm,
month, those leases have to be paid, whether I'm charging storage to clients or not. So
mm,
I would de-risk my life of having to start over, knowing what it took to get here. I would consult and help other folks that maybe already have their own apparel brand and they
mm,
want to diversify and fulfill for others. I could get them up and running in probably 90 days or less and
mm.
help them avoid all of the headache that comes along with trying to solve an e-commerce fulfillment business.
Dude, that is awesome. That is really awesome. And it's very intriguing as well, too. 90 days. First off,
Yeah.
you can, wow, that is,
No, don't hold me to that. I'm speculating here. I'm speculating that it would take 90 days.
no, bro. Like, but if there's anything I've learned from you, Cole, is you go balls to the wall. Like you can probably really do it, and you will hold yourself accountable to it. Because it's like it's very intriguing. Because and I already loved you and had so much respect for you. Right now, it's probably like way much more because it's you don't run away from pain, which is one thing I'm really realizing, and it's very key. and it's very, very alluring. Like you really just go towards that pain no matter what. And I mean, based off of that, that's the confidence that you have that you could probably just like get all this stuff up and running again within 90 days. Not many people can say that, but even with that confidence. So it's really great.
Well, thanks for saying that. I think it kind of goes back to, I mean, we don't need to get into the details, but I had a wonderful upbringing, but like challenges in my life where I was young and kind of had to take control of my own destiny. I have amazing parents. I love them, but they were going through some hard times when I was at pivotal ages. And so I've kind of just, I think way back to when I was young, I've just learned like, hey, I control my own destiny within reason. Obviously, I think, higher powers actually dictate, what's going to happen. But, to an effect, I can control my destiny and, so I think that's kind of what led me with, to have this sort of disposition and being comfortable with failure and, learning from it.
I love that. I love that. It makes me wonder, based off of what you just said as well too, what is a lesson you think it took you too long to learn in this entire journey?
To trust others for sure. To like I shared that conversation where I had to have that hard conversation. People telling me get out of the way. To trust others. That I think you get burned enough times from trusting others, and that pain. It's hard to do it again and to kind of give that trust back. And so that's definitely a lesson that took way too long to learn. I'm still learning it. I mean, it's still like, it's not like I'm this, mindful Buddhist like mentality where it's like, it's still like an internal battle. Like, okay, I got to just trust that the team's got this. Like I have to tell myself that and still like reinforce that. And I'll find myself wanting to get involved in it. It's like, no, you got to take a step back. My girlfriend's been really good about like, hey, you don't have to answer this right now. Sleep on it, be patient. And I always come back to like, okay, I got the right people and I trust them and I know their hearts.
Dude, oof, that is really powerful. That is really powerful. A huge lesson, and that's also one that I struggle with too, because I definitely got burnt a couple of times, especially in the space of business. People you trust, so being able to trust again, and it sounds like it's inevitable if you want to scale and grow. If you want to go somewhere, you go together. Just having that hard conversation and doing that, I would definitely take that to heart for sure.
On that same note, I've been burned, and I like if anybody feels inspired by this, or like the one thing I would caution people, like the one thing that you really don't want to get burned by, like if is just like it's a quick anecdote. I was working with somebody that was an executive at a convenience store chain, nationally recognized, also was working in a position of government where you would think this person has so much reputation at stake, they will never do wrong by me. Like I can have faith in that. And it caused me to have blinders on and to miss an opportunity to like protect myself. And I got burned so badly when we had like 50,000 in the business bank account. I took about a $35,000 haircut that was owed to me by this outfit. And I trusted in them because of their public stature. And as a result of that, look, I was devastated. And I did not know how I was going to get by. And I called my vendors. I said, hey, I know we pay you on 7 days. It's who we are. I need to pay you in 30 for a short period of time while we get our reserves built back up. And thankfully, it wasn't huge numbers at that time, but we had that relationship with our vendors. And it informed our credit practices, where now hey, look, we're going to require 2 weeks of expected activity from our brands as a deposit, because we're going to go create liability shipping orders for you. And I got to make sure I get paid so that I don't create this risk that's going to prevent me from being able to be a steward to our team members, to our other customers, to our vendors. to our families.
Mm.
And that informed those practices. And I'm so thankful that that happened early on,
Mm.
that set us up to make sure that we were protected into the future. And we've not taken deals from brands that didn't want to put a deposit on with us. And I get that. I totally get that.
Mm.
But we're not going to put the well-being of our vendors, team members, other customers, families at risk,
Mm.
because we've seen the most trustworthy people not be trustworthy. So,
Wow.
Yeah, that's an anecdote that hopefully somebody out there that's like can just plant a seed so that they don't get burned and have to learn that hard lesson the way I did. And don't be
Yeah.
afraid to tell your customer, hey, this is why I do think, this is what I require, and this is why I require it.
Mm.
And don't be afraid to let that customer walk if they don't agree to it.
Dude, that is, I'm wondering, because now that you said that as well too, I've had some people, I've seen some interviews where some people were like, the best deals that they ever had were ones where they walked away or where they let the customer walk away. What would you say to that, especially in with what the anecdote that you just gave to us, especially in situations like that? Would you say walking away is definitely the thing where you don't buckle under the pressure? You're like, okay, you know what? Let me just do this because like we are friends or because of anything of that sort.
I think if it's well thought through and you're walking away because it's what's best for all parties and not because you're taking the easy road, then yes, I think it shows maturity, it shows discipline, it shows intentionality.
Mm.
I think as long as you're not walking away from something because it's too hard to tackle, it's a sign of maturity.
Okay. Wow. Wow. That is really brother, I wonder how do you stay sane when everything's your responsibility? You know, because it's
Don't
like
accuse me of that either.
yeah, because I'm like, I wonder because I'm like, yo, it's a lot. Like you've been through a lot. Everything going on is a lot of like, hey,
I've got hobbies and interests that bring me back to my happy place, and get me recentered. But really, it comes back to team. I've got a team that helps me share that responsibility. It's the weight doesn't weigh solely on me. I think it's our team, it's our family. We all share it, and that makes it easier. Ultimately, yes, the buck stops with me, but I have amazing people are going to reach out and try to catch that arrow before it ever gets to me. So it's a team effort.
yo, I love that, guys. Realize this: team is important. Team is
Yeah,
important
and it
because
takes time to curate.
that's the part too. It definitely takes time to cure for you to also understand the culture and everything you're building. Cole, this is amazing. I'm curious, just like wrapping up here with everything.
Mhm.
So right now, especially you saying that like OC3PL is still in its infancy and all of that.
Mhm.
What's next for OC3PL?
Well, we are going to expand geographically. We've always grown really strategically. We don't. We always look for anchor accounts, cornerstone accounts that believe in our mission, that will anchor us in a new market, and then we'll backfill with local brands. So, I think you'll see us expanding on the East Coast, Midwest, or Texas in the next 12 months. Once we find the right partner, it's a strategic initiative for us, and then some automation. There's some really cool things happening in the automation space that are the return on investment is coming down as the technology is advancing. And so internally, there'll be some automation that will result in new tools and services that we can offer to our customers. So, and then I think hopefully some strategic partnerships with some folks out there that help us get our name and our reputation out there.
I love that. I love that. Okay, brother. And if people wanted to follow you, learn more, even partner with OC3PL, where can they go to find you or even get into contact with the company?
Our website will be the easiest, just www.oc3pl.com. Got plenty of different ways to reach out there, phone, email. We've got a phenomenal team. Everybody's going to be excited to talk with anybody that has questions or wants to know more.
There we go. There we go. I love it. I love it. And also for all of you as well out there that are probably maybe on LinkedIn whatsoever, Cole has a lovely LinkedIn as well too that you should definitely follow him on. You can connect with him. If you're looking for people like him to help, well, his company to help your business, definitely connect with him for sure. You will not be disappointed. Cole, wrapping this all this up, what is what would you say is the biggest lie people believe about building a real business?
That now is not the time.
Whoa.
Like, hey, I want to do this, but now is not the time. I don't think there's ever going to be a right time. You just got to go. Obviously, it needs to be thought through, but now could be the time. Just go. I think just go.
Yo, dude, like I'm actually gonna probably play this to a friend of mine, because a friend of mine is like, I have many friends that are like, yeah, I want to do this, I want to do that, but I'll just do this 3 years from now, I'll do this 5 years from now and everything. But you're saying now is not the time is the biggest lie.
Yeah, I mean, imagine, like, I'm sure there's plenty of guys and girls working in corporate jobs that are looking at retirement the next 3 to 5 years that had always thought, I'm going to go start that business, and they didn't. Now, it's not to say it can't be a fulfilling career, but like, if that's in your heart and that's in your belly and you want to go explore it, I think it's really important to have a group of people that you can bounce the ideas off and make sure you don't have this idea that's not going to come to fruition, or really is not going to work. Like if I came to you, Kofi, and said, hey, tomorrow, man, I'm going to start a pest control business. And you're like, dude, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, but I hate bugs. Well, okay, that's not enough logic to go start a pest control business, dude. Like, you tell me that. And I think that's important too. Make sure it makes sense. Make sure you've thought through it, have a game plan, know when you're going to pivot. And just make sure that the people that matter the most to you, significant others, kids, whatever, support it and believe in it and go.
Dude, I love this. I love this. I love this. Cole, it has been such an absolute pleasure having you on this podcast. Guys, look, and this is me working with Cole, seeing who he is, and now you've also seen who exactly he is, the type of company that they've got. Honestly, I can tell you right now, no bias whatsoever. If you're in e-commerce, if you own an apparel or beauty and cosmetic store whatsoever, you've been second or third guessing your current fulfillment process, or you don't trust your current 3PL or fulfillment process, I beg of you, definitely reach out to OC3PL. I believe right now you guys are having the free fulfillment analysis going on, right, Cole?
Yep. Yeah,
Awesome.
We've got reporting tools that are pretty much pre-built. So if we can get exports of either ShipStation or Shopify or anything from your ERP, or even just want to send me like, hey, here's some bills from a 3PL, we can turn around and analyze it really quickly and show you, hey, this is what our pricing would be and this is what you'd save. Or we could even just validate and say, hey, no, it seems like you got a really good process, you got really good carrier rates, and you're doing great. And we can have a fun conversation if nothing else comes out of it.
Awesome. I love that. I egg you guys, if you're looking for somebody like Cole or OC3PL, definitely give them a shout out. But with that being said, Cole, thank you so much for this podcast, brother. This has been electric. I've really loved having you here.
Well, thanks for having me on, and thanks for being who you are and being a wonderful partner to us. And I'm really, really glad we found each other and that you're going to help us grow the business.
Awesome. 1,000%. As always, brother. All right, guys, till later. We'll see you soon. Ciao.